Drake, man.
Drake May's a special player. I think he played well this year. I think he played even better last year, which is the real reason why, he falls to 3 because he didn't come out after his sophomore year. And then he didn't have the weapons that he did last year. However, he still has that prototype 6'4", 223-pound size. He can throw the ball. He's basically Justin Herbert. And people love Justin Herbert, think he's a great football player. He has good situational awareness.
Forward here. This is May looking left.
We don't need all that, but this is him on 4th down, staying strong in the pocket, staying in there, Fender barreling down on him, and he still is able to make a big play on 4th down for his team. I think that's a guy you want in your locker room. I think those are the type of plays that football teams get up for. And I think the Pats are excited to get their franchise quarterback at 3 here.
Yeah, and the thing about Drake May is that the knock on him is some of his hero ball plays, but man, when they work, it's like who else is doing that in this draft at quarterback? Hope somehow the Giants could land him, or we could trade up, or something happens, but looking like a pipe dream. At number 4 with the Cardinals, similar to what Austin said with the number 1 pick, I think this is pretty clear. Don't overthink it. Get the most complete receiver in the draft. It's funny with the draft fatigue, the off season, we're getting tired of mocking him, the number 1. Put Malik Neighbors in there. Put Rome Odunze in there. The main knock on Marvin Harrison Jr. is, he didn't show up to the combine. He didn't show up to his pro day. People got to realize, for one, obviously his dad is top 5, arguably at minimum. Top.
Went out.
What you said?
Something went out.
What do you mean something went out?
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me right now.
Should we pause it? Let's pause it real quick.
Right. So as I was saying about Marvin Harrison, one of the biggest knocks, or really the only knock on him right now, is that he didn't attend the combine or his pro day. But what people have to remember is that his dad is a top 5, arguably at bare minimum top 10 wide receiver all time. Himself, he was a pretty quiet guy when he played with Peyton during his legendary stint with the Colts. So, I think he's really being advised by his dad here. But if you're worried about some of the arbitrary stats from the actual combine, like the 40 time, all you got to do is look at his in-game speed. These are things that are tracked. It's called GPS. It's like their GPS score. And he's a burner. He's not like Xavier Worthy 4.3 type speed, but speed is not an issue. Very well-rounded receiver, does everything, great, just super well-rounded. And I know we all remember the Kyler Murray meme where it's like, I'm throwing it up. D-Hop's going to be out there somewhere. I think with Marvin Harrison, we're going to have that little meme possibly for the rest of Kyler's career.
Yeah, and I mean, again, right now I kind of have the Arizona Cardinals draft and all the picks that they have available to them, because I know that, it's line season and the NFL draft cycle, and a lot of people are trying to connect the Arizona Cardinals to trading back to get more picks. But when you have literally almost 7 picks in the top 105 selections, like you kind of you're good. You don't need any more picks. You need legitimate blue chip players. Marvin Harrison Jr. is one of those blue chip players. I don't think that they're trading away from them. I think that that's just some smoke, because there's a few teams that are really, really trying to hype up certain quarterbacks for some trade up potential. But yeah, that's all I have to say really about in regards to Arizona Cardinals.
And just to add to that, they just have their draft capital. They probably have some of the best draft capital in this draft. So the idea of trading back when you have all that draft capital is the definition of overthinking things. Don't overthink it. Not sure why they're sending out these smoke screens, but in terms of the Cardinals, I mean, what more could you really want? Don't be greedy. Don't think too hard. And what a lot of fans don't realize is it's not all about the first round pick. Some of the best players come out of the second, third. So having a bunch of those picks, crucial. That's what really makes the draft. That's where the draft, that's what wins championships, is those middle round picks, starting from second all the way to about like fifth or so. We just saw, Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant. We saw Puka go into fifth. So that's probably why for the 2.0 that we'll do right before the draft, we're considering doing a 2-rounder, but stay tuned for that. But besides that, number 5, LA Chargers.
The LA Chargers, they do have a lot of needs right now. They just let go of two of their solid wide receivers. They kind of need depth at almost all the positions. So I think right here they really wanted to orchestrate a trade down or a trade back. However, Minnesota decided to play it a little smarter than people are suggesting them to, and they're not really entertaining anything from the Chargers here. So that kind of forced the Chargers' hand, and they're forced to pick at 5 to keep the value. And I think that they end up selecting Malik Neighbors with this pick, the second best wide receiver in this draft. And again, I alluded to Dane Brugler. Yeah, in my opinion, I alluded to Dane Brugler earlier. And one of the things that he just said on one of his interviews in regards to the draft, in regards to the wide receiver position, is that Malik Neighbors, if he was in last year's draft or even the draft before, would have probably been the number 1 overall wide receiver. Or he didn't say probably. He said he would have been the number 1 overall selected wide receiver. And Malik Neighbors is number 1 on some people's boards. I'm not saying that he's comparable to Marvin Harrison or I like him more than Marvin Harrison. I think that there are 3 solid number 1 wide receivers in this draft class, and sometimes it just kind of falls that way. When you go over here and you look at his profile, he really is a solid wide receiver. I mean, he has speed, he has the size, he has length. I mean, he has agility, he has burst score. They're comparing him to Jamar Chase here. I personally see a little bit of CeeDee Lamb in his game, like a faster version of CeeDee Lamb, which is kind of ridiculous.